Hi, and welcome to this introductory workshop on how to use NVivo 12 for social media analysis. This workshop is geared towards those that have previously completed the Introduction to NVivo workshop and have a basic working knowledge of the NVivo layout. First, we will be going into what social media analysis is and how NVivo 12 can support it. Then I will show you how to download InCapture and use it to download data from social media websites. Next, we will import this data into NVivo and view the dataset features and chart options. And before finally, we will move into more data analysis features such as word frequency and word cloud and the basic auto coding functions in NVivo. So for part one, we will give a general overview of social media analysis and set up the InCapture tool to collect social media data and import it into NVivo. So first, social media analysis is the analysis of various qualitative and quantitative data collected through a range of social media tools such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, etc. Social media provides an insight to a degree into the individual and collective social behavior and preferences of the platform's users. As a qualitative data analysis software, NVivo can support the qualitative and mixed methods research of social media in multiple ways, including quickly retrieving, organizing, storing, and analyzing social data, uncovering connections in ways that are impossible, difficult, or very time-consuming manually, visualizing and conveying content in compelling ways, facilitating research transparency, such as rigorously backing up findings with evidence and processes that are shareable and replicable, and of course, saving time and increasing efficiency. NVivo does this by utilizing the InCapture tool. InCapture is a browser plugin that lets you pull data from a variety of social media websites, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, web pages, online PDFs, and LinkedIn. Now we are going to go over how to install InCapture. Unfortunately, InCapture is only available for Chrome and Internet Explorer. So if you don't have one of these web browsers, you will need to download it before continuing. InCapture is downloaded through the respective web stores of Chrome or Internet Explorer. I will show you what this looks like on the Chrome web store. So if we go to Google Chrome, and you go up to chrome.google.com, you can search the web store for InCapture. Now I've already installed it, so it says remove from Chrome because it's already installed. But if it wasn't, it would say install as this button instead. And once it's installed, you'll see this button up here appear. This is InCapture for NVivo. So once this is installed, you should see the InCapture button at the top of your browser. This process would be the same for the Internet Explorer web store as well. Now, usually InCapture is downloaded automatically when you download NVivo. So if you recently downloaded NVivo and already have InCapture, to check and make sure it's there, if you don't see this button, is to go to your menu and then to hit more tools and extensions, and that should pull up all your browser extensions, and InCapture should be listed, and just make sure it's turned on. Now that we have the InCapture tool, let's use it to pull some data from different social media websites. first we're going to do Twitter, since that's the data we'll be working with later in the tutorial. So for Twitter, you can use nCapture to capture any public data from public profiles. So anything you're interested in, you can search in Twitter. So for the example in this tutorial, I'm going to search hashtag food. And as you can see, a lot of posts pop up. So to capture this data, we just go over to the nCapture button, click it, and it'll give you two options. You can tweet as a data, you can capture the tweets as a data set, or you can capture the tweets as a web page or a PDF. Data sets are easier to work with for analyzing data. And that's the most popular feature. So that's what we are going to do. You can name it whatever you'd like. I'm just going to leave the name that it has there, hashtag food, Twitter search. You can also put a description. And you can also code it as a node before clicking capture in case you wanted to code the entire data set as a node in NVivo. But mainly you just want to make sure you click the icon, the nCapture icon, and select tweets as data set, provide a source name or whatever you'd like to name it, a description, and then just, so I'm just going to use a Twitter example. And then hit capture. And it may ask you to authorize the app if you have not already. And now it should be capturing the tweets. Keep in mind, depending on how many tweets you are capturing, this could take a while, so you might need to be patient. And if you go back to the nCapture button, you can see how it has a 1 right here. If you click it, you can also look at the capture progress at the bottom of the page by clicking that, and it'll pull up a page showing the search that you've done that it's capturing and its progress on the number of tweets capturing. Again, this may take a while depending on what exactly you're searching. But also keep in mind that Twitter does limit the amount of data that can be downloaded in a 15-minute period. So if you do need to download a large amount of tweets or tweets from multiple users, you'll have to do multiple scratches and multiple captures at different times and plan to do this over several days. So while that is capturing, I'm also going to go over to Facebook and show you what it's like to capture data from Facebook pages. So Facebook pages do work a little bit differently. The only place that you can capture data as a data set is on public Facebook pages. That's where you'll have the option to capture post as a data set. If you're in any kind of private groups or on profiles of particular people, you're not going to have this option. You'll only have the PDF option. So yeah, due to privacy concerns, you're only able to capture data sets for groups, for public groups or for public groups and for public pages. If you capture Facebook posts as PDFs, if you do want to capture data from a news feed or of a particular user, unfortunately, you won't be able to work with the data the way you can work with a data set, such as sorting, filtering, auto-coding the data set. So unlike Twitter, unfortunately, Facebook does not allow you to capture posts as data set for hashtag searches or any other searches because of the different privacy concerns and privacy settings that would be on each individual page. You must be on an individual page to use this option. However, you can still do the PDF option, you just will not have as many options for data analysis. So our Twitter hashtag search capture has finished downloading, and it'll appear at the bottom of your screen. So you would just click that and you can open the file and save it to wherever you'd like. We're going to go back to the presentation now, and I'm just going to explain a few other different social media sites that you can capture data from in the same way. So Instagram, you would go to the Instagram profile page or search a hashtag that you're interested in. You can click on that in capture icon again, but unfortunately Instagram only gives the option of capturing a web page as a PDF instead of a data set. There are no options on Instagram that give you the option of capturing it as a data set, unfortunately. So Instagram currently does not support downloading posts as data sets at all. YouTube, you can download YouTube videos either with or without comments or as a web page PDF. The video will be imported in a codable video format, whereas the comments are imported as a data set, which you can then code or auto-code. You would do the same thing where you provide a source name, a description, and then just click capture. You can also code it as an existing or a new node before clicking capture in case you wanted to code the data as a node in NVivo. So for web pages, online PDFs, and other websites like LinkedIn, the process of downloading data from these other types of websites is very similar to that from Twitter. Once you navigate to the page you're interested in, click on the icon. You can select web pages PDF for web pages such as LinkedIn, entire PDF for online PDFs, and post as data sets for public Facebook pages and groups, and public Twitter post. But you'll have to provide a source name, a description, and then just click capture. And the same thing, you can code it as to an existing node or a new node before clicking capture in case you wanted to code that data as a node in NVivo. There's other sites that you can download data from other sites as well, but this will often depend on the platform of that individual site and on the coding of the site in the background and their privacy restrictions. So for that reason, the ability to download data from many other sites is on a case-by-case basis and on a trial and error basis. For example, comments from some WordPress-based blogs can be downloaded, but for other blogs on this platform, it's not possible. When in doubt, you can always try it and see what happens. And also keep in mind, you can go back as technology updates and changes. Different rules are often changed as well. So you can always go back and see if any privacy restrictions have been lifted or changed or so on and so forth. Okay, now that we've learned how to pull data from different social media websites, let's move on to actually importing that data into NVivo. So we can pull up NVivo, and each time you download a file with an in-capture file, it's going to create an NVC file, or if you're on a Mac, it's NVCX file containing the data. So to import this data into NVivo, you're just going to click on Import and then click on In Capture, and then go to wherever you've saved that file from when you did your Twitter search or your Facebook search or whatever social media data you're capturing. So all of my Facebook and Twitter searches are here because this is the folder I saved it to, but you can browse and search for the folder just like any other importing of documents. And you just select which ones you'd like to import and then hit import, and they will show up here. I've already imported this file just to save time. Sometimes when you're working with data sets that have a lot of tweets, like this one has about 22,000, it can take a while to import. So to save time, I've already imported it, but that's how you would import it. You would just hit this button, check which ones you want, and then hit the import button. Okay, now that it's been added in, we can look at some of the features that are pulled from the data. We'll double click it and give it a while to pull up. But once it comes up on the right, we're going to see a bunch of tabs with of the data set with different features. Okay, now that it's popped up, we can see the table and the other tabs on our right. The table will have the tweets and any additional publicly available metadata. So it does not collect any data that is not public. So if anything is blank, it means if any column or row is blank, it means that that data was not public. But you can see that it collects a lot of data. And then you can also view this data for individually for each row as a form. It'll provide the data in a form view instead of a table. It makes it a little more, a little easier to read because it's all laid out for each individual row very well. And then the next option is the chart, where you can select data to display in the chart by right-clicking the chart and then selecting a select data option. This is going to create some chart options through a window where you can display different variables such as the number of references, of usernames, hashtags, number of followers, and whatever variable you select. There's more chart options on the menu bar across the top. It is taking a bit of time to pull up. Again, when you have a data set that has such a high number of references, it can take some time. So you will need to be patient if you are researching something that will have a lot of responses on social media and you'll be collecting a lot of data. Okay, here we go. So again, if you right click, you'll see a select data option where you can pull up your chart options for your variables. As you can see, your x-axis can be usernames, hashtags, mentions, locations, tweet types, timelines, and selected codes or cases that you might have made for it. And the y-axis is options or number of references or the number of followers or following. So you can change the chart to whatever variables you would like to display. And that will automatically generate this chart and change it. Again, this is the menu bar at the top I was talking about, where you can change the chart options to display it as a column, a bar graph, or a pie graph. It's very convenient, and there's also different data labels, chart titles, legends, etc., etc. If you'd like to export this chart, you can right click and hit export chart, or you can copy and paste it into another document. And so the next tab is the cluster analysis feature. And if you hit that, it'll show you groupings of the selected variable by word similarity. This may also take a little bit of time to pull up, but it will give you the same options where you can right click the chart and get a select data option. So you can choose the variable you would like displayed. And the menu at the top bar will also give you further chart options, just like the previous graphs we were looking at. And same thing, you can export them by right-clicking and copy and pasting, or selecting the export option. Okay, so here our cluster analysis popped up. At the bottom, you'll see a bar where you can zoom in or zoom out to get a better look at it. We have it set on usernames, so it's analyzing usernames by their word similarity. You can also do other hashtags other than food that were mentioned in the post, mentions, locations, or selected codes or cases, and display how similar those words are to each other. But for this example, it used username, so it's grouping all the usernames in this diagram by their similarity and kind of creating a word tree. So they will be clustered by the word similarity. And it creates quite a large word tree. So you definitely do need to zoom in to view it. Like I said, there's more options at the top of different diagrams and ways of displaying this data that you can select from. And of course, also you can export it. Okay, and now the next feature is the map tab, which is pretty interesting. It'll give you a look at where the Twitter users were tweeting from, as long as the metadata is public. Again, NVivo only captures public data, so if that data was not public, it will not capture it. But the interesting thing about the map is that it's interactive, and if you click on a pin, you can see the post from that particular location. Again, it may take some time to pull up if you are working with a large data set. And here it is. So if you click on any of these pins, you will be able to pull up the post from those pins. So I'm going to click on Antarctica and see what post about located in Antarctica were tweeted. And all 7 of them come up. So this is a really useful tool if you're trying to compare like how people are talking about certain hashtags or topics in different locations. So maybe you're trying to compare how people talk about food in Antarctica compared to Alaska or compared to Asia. So for multi-sided studies, that can be a very useful tool and interesting topic. So that covers the basics of using NVivo 12 to gather social media data, view dataset features, and generate some basic diagrams to view this data. In the next video, we're going to be going further into more analysis through autocoding, word clouds, and matrix coding.